A very warm welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the DIGGY show. I'd really like to thank Armaan Singh for coming on the podcast. It's a tricky topic, which is not spoken about a lot. And Armaan Singh, I saw him on TikTok, and that's how I actually approached him to come on the podcast. Thank you for coming, Armaan, on the podcast. How is it? How are you doing now?
I'm good. Thank you
Yes.
for reaching out and
Yeah.
start the conversation. Like you said, it's important that we talk about things that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. It
Just
is something
trying to
like
figure it out.
yeah, these talks are something which is subdued by the family, society, relatives, everyone. But that's how the conversation starts. Things starts to flow, and then how we actually create or broaden our horizon. That's the line I heard in your TikTok video once.
Yeah.
So let's get to the point. So how was your journey? Like, how's your journey been? Life lessons learned, ups and downs, something like you would like to share?
Just like a little background, I guess. I was born in the US, but I grew up majorly in Punjab. I went back and forth a lot. My parents were going through a lot of finance issues, so I did a lot of my schooling in India, in Punjab,
Okay.
and
Where in Punjab?
that Chandigarh, Mohali.
Mohali. Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. I went to Shivalik Public School,
Oh,
and yeah. Then my dad graduated from the same school, so it was kind of like interesting, to think about boarding school. I was like, okay, that sounds cool. But yeah, I think those 4 years of being away from family and kind of really understanding myself as an individual, even though I wasn't like mature, but I think those really shaped my life when I look back. But
actually,
yeah, I started transitioning back 5 years ago.
5 years
And
ago. Wow.
yeah. So I mean, there's so many lessons, there's been a lot of ups and downs, especially my family isn't really supportive, or they don't understand. And I think that relationship is still building, and I'm still trying to understand, because I talked about this in my other conversation. Our community, there's a lack of language, so it's hard to, explain myself, because they say it's Western concepts, but it's just, we don't have language. We don't have, words to describe whether we talk about gender or transitioning. But yeah, I think ups have been just, it's the journey itself has been so rewarding. I think being authentic, it just brings so much joy and so much clarity in life that I think that was
Definitely,
really,
yeah. I've seen
yeah.
I've seen your transition video on
Mhm.
TikTok. It is something like I cannot say anything about because I have not been through that phase, or I can just say that it's a more power to you.
Mhm.
And a lot of people should understand. I think when things will flow, conversation will move on, and a lot of people will get to know this because it's not the Western idea. So it's your journey had just started
Mhm.
like 5 years ago. So,
Yeah.
like, how much time it does take for someone to go through the transition?
Well, transition is a lifelong thing. I mean, I always knew I was different. I like I said, I just didn't have the language. So when I found the resources and found like, oh, this is a real thing. It's just not in my head. So yeah, the medical transition, it's like you're on, depending on, see, it's a very complex conversation because a lot of people don't have resources. A lot of people can't transition, but
Yeah,
they're still who they are. You don't have to look a certain way to be who you are.
definitely.
I'm lucky that for me it was really, for a lot of people it is to transition. It saves you kind of thing, because the society is really hard. If I wasn't the way I look right now, it is really hard to be treated as a man or take space as a man. So for me, my transition, it's a lifelong journey. Like you stay on hormones your whole life. You can choose to opt out of it, but that's just the kind of commitment it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, it's just been, yeah. I mean, my body keeps
Yeah,
changing.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand. I can understand. It is something like major, like majority of the people who might be listening to this podcast won't be able to understand
Mm.
because definitely they have not been through this. So it's a process. It's a lifelong process, as you said. So all the social aspect when it comes to play, social in terms of like your friends, family, relatives. When you were in India, then you went to United States. So was there a change, something, or it's like the same thing, the way people are
Um,
here in India, or maybe something different, like in terms of social aspect, people
yeah,
treat you something differently, family, friends. But what I, because if I see, uh, obviously it is easy to open up in West.
yeah,
Or if
yeah,
you come, yeah, if you compare to India or the subcontinent.
yeah.
So how?
Um, I think for me, like growing up, I was very masculine. So even in Punjab, I think during those times when I lived there, I was really policed on that. Like I was told, don't walk like that, don't sit like that. So my masculinity was definitely always policed, whether in Punjab or here. Um, but it is easier to open up and have these conversations in the West. Um, just because the idea of inclusion, like in India, I think people say ki everything we're talking about is Western. So it just kind of closes that, oh, you're just trying to be, a person from the West. Over here, we're really trying to understand that how can we be our individual selves beyond the boxes.
Definitely.
So it's easier to find those spaces where people are willing to understand masculinity and femininity beyond what is told to us. That what does it mean? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? But those are very personal definitions, which I think there are more
Yes.
spaces and conversations here that
I,
allow for folks to define themselves. I think it's a little hard in Punjab for sure.
yeah, not in Punjab, but I guess across the length and breadth of India. So
Yeah.
I can give you a personal example. I was in class 11th, and
Mhm.
my senior was in class 12th. So we were so ignorant at that point of time, where I would think that we should not be that much ignorant. If our school system or our teachers or our like parents, they would have involved us in all this conversation about gays, lesbian, transgenders, everything,
Mhm.
but we didn't know anything. So something which is not like me or which is unlike me, we would make fun of that. So our senior,
Mhm.
he was gay.
Mhm.
So I was the one at the forefront one who was making fun of him because he was not like me. So
Mhm.
it was not masculinity. He was not being like a man. He was
Mhm.
always around with the girls, or he was speaking in an effeminate way. That
Mhm.
was something which I regretted. But
Mhm.
then over course of the line, when I was in Delhi, now in Canada, I learned a lot through this because I have friends. So that's how things, I want like the conversation should be flowing. If the conversation flows, like our
Mhm.
horizon increases, and then everyone is different. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone is different. So we have to coexist on this planet
Mhm.
very well. So
Mhm.
it's not that we are same. Everyone is different, but
Mhm.
we should like coexist. That's how we are. But
Yeah.
that's very moving, the way you said, because it has to be very, I would suggest, very, I would not say very easy, but uh, it's not that conducive. I would say
Mhm.
conducive in West, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of things, a lot of conversations flowing in, I would suggest. But anyway, are you like politically inclined into all of this?
Yeah, I've gotten, I think, I wasn't like what, 4 years ago or something. I would say like 3 years ago. I now live in California, and California is known to be very involved, and there's so much diversity here that
Yeah,
it's really in your face, like you have to talk about it, you have to acknowledge the systems that are in place. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, I'm not like in the forefront of everything, but I like to be aware because at the end of the day, all of this impacts all of us.
definitely. So
Yeah.
like, have you been following Indian politics in terms of what's happening with like LGBT community? Did you follow something up?
I wouldn't say like 100%. I know like like 370 Article 377 was repealed. Um, I
Yeah.
know there's some movement in like more open cities, I guess.
Yeah, more in the metropolitan cities like Mumbai,
Yeah.
Delhi. It was repealed. It
Mhm.
was repealed around 2009-10, if I am not wrong, and then
Mhm.
it was again lifted. The ban was lifted. So now Article 377 upholds
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
completely I don't know whether they have allowed, or it says that you can marry, but it says that you are free to choose your partner.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I came across, I watched the movie Shubh
Aligarh?
Mangal Zada.
Oh, sorry, Shubh Mangal
Yeah,
Savdan.
yeah, Zada Savdan, like that's focused on the couple. And I think there was some article 277 doesn't say it's okay to marry. It's not like a same-sex marriage is passed. It really decriminalizes sex other than like like it's like the normal whatever scientific whatever. So it decriminalized that, but it didn't give people
The
the
right to
right.
marry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was saying.
So
Yeah, it's just,
yeah, go for it.
but I think it's a slow start. But hopefully we have
Mm-hmm.
started towards the
Yeah,
path. But yeah, so politics has been, it's very tricky subject in general.
yeah, yeah.
But what about social media aspect? Like I saw you on social media. Social media
Mm-hmm.
can be something where you can reach to a lot of people. A lot of people can receive your message, be it good
Yeah.
or bad. So what do you think about like all LGBT community coming up on or coming out on social media, especially on TikTok? Because
Yeah.
I've been seeing they're coming out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, like there's been the positives or negatives? Something you do not like about it, or something you like about it?
Um, I mean, in terms of social media, I think I don't like how people have the right to just say whatever they want without knowing the person. Um, in terms of like other people coming out, like I'm no one to tell them what to do.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do understand, that a lot of us come out on social media or go to these platforms because our families or our closer circles are not willing to hear these things. So social media is definitely, like, I came out 5 years ago, and I didn't know anything about social media at the time. So I had to face everything in person. It took me some time to build this community on my social media, which honestly has helped me accept myself and feel like, okay, I'm not the only one. So I think the positive, it gives you community, it gives you validation that you might not be otherwise getting.
Yeah,
It connects you to people who are accepting. I think negative is just like I said, it's people have the right to say whatever they want, and a lot of
definitely.
times that you know
Yeah, definitely. I can have my own opinions, whether it's like positives or negatives. There's no one who wants to hear my negatives or who wants to hear my positive. It's just that it should, if someone wants to listen something positive, and if he or she is hearing from me, that's how he or she will hear me. Otherwise, they won't give a damn about it.
yeah.
But like what I really personally like is that a lot of people, because I know that Indian society has a lot of bars, a lot of gates that you cannot cross this thing, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
cross that one, but you're coming out on that thing on the social media platforms. Obviously, it has its own negatives also, where a lot of people are misusing it
Mm-hmm.
just for the fame or something.
Mm-hmm.
They are degrading the level of it, something which is not what LGBT community is,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what I don't like about a lot of
Yeah.
people on that. So anything like you
Okay.
have, yeah, you understand, and anything you might have come across.
So I think I've heard about the similar things that you said,
Yeah,
um, and I've seen some stuff that I don't know what the purpose of them
creating is,
representing a community is. um, I can see some, that it causes wrong representation, but like I said, like I'm nobody to tell them what to do. And if that's how they want to go with it, that's them. I think it's also that we shouldn't give one person the title of, okay, this person is representing
the community.
LGBT and Punjabi. I'm not the only one who's representing that. Like I might make mistakes, but that's not a reflection on the community. That's a reflection of me. And I think that's kind of how I look at it. Like I know I kind of know what you're saying about, especially TikTok. Like I've seen some people. I'm like, I'm not sure, but like I said, it's their personal choice, and I don't. I hope people understand that's an individual and not someone who has a flag for our community.
Definitely, definitely. That's what I completely agree to you. So it is something like I am not like degrading any place or any states or anything else, but it's just that I wanted to ask you something like, so for me, if I would have been part of the LGBT community, it would have been like not very easy. Obviously, in any length and breadth across any part of India, it will be very difficult to open up. But if you compare it to other states, like other metropolitan states like Delhi, maybe Mumbai, Kolkata, or Chennai, these big places. But when it comes to the states like Punjab, Haryana, UP, something which is known for the masculinity, I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
inherently that they're masculine. So so being a part of a community from that place, does it like does it like have any effect on you? Does it very difficult to open up over there in
Yeah,
those?
100%. I don't think that it's masculinity. I think it's hyper masculinity and toxic at some point. You know, and I think it's sad. Like, are these states. I mean, I'm not aware of like UP, and like I know I kind of know Haryana. Like it's kind of like very masculine, but I think the more I understand Punjab and uh, the men that we have, like whether we talk about Punjabi artists and the kind of representation they're putting out there, it's very hyper masculine. I think that's it's kind of traumatizing the all already traumatized places in ourselves. Like we think we have to be hyper masculine to be a man.
Yeah,
And I think that hurts. I think that makes it hard for people to come out, people to accept themselves, and us to accept ourselves. Like, I think we need to have a conversation that, like being a man is not just rigidness. Being a man is able to process your emotions and cry and hold space for people and be okay with other people being themselves. And I think at some point we will have to, unlayer the stuff that I think this has started when colonization happened. We've been traumatized so much that we've forgotten what is to love, what is to accept, and what is it
definitely.
not to be rigid all the time,
Yeah, so especially the artist, because I've been like listening to a lot of music, especially Punjabi music, but
Mm-hmm.
they are setting up the masculinity level
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
high, and
Yeah.
in reality, they're not even close to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens in reality. Because, for example, there are a lot of stars who do not give a shit about police officers and anything in
Yeah. Yeah.
songs, but when it comes to reality, or they are caught by the police, then some
Mm-hmm.
different videos comes out, something which
Yeah.
is, so
Yeah.
yeah, maybe because that's what he said, toxic masculinity.
Yeah, yeah, I totally, especially with like currently with everything that's happening with the Black Lives Movement. I listen to a lot of Punjabi music. These people are like, I love what they're doing, but I guess like I expected more, like if you're using their culture, like, like you said,
Definitely.
you talk about police, you talk about masculinity, you talk about being so strong, then
Yeah,
it requires that you stand up to those words when it comes to actual repression, actual people are getting hurt around you. And I think,
yeah,
yeah, like you said, these are conversations we're gonna have to have some
yeah,
point. We
because
can't just be cool in our videos. We have to be a community that stands up for people and
yeah,
fights for them.
yeah, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, because I don't know about Indian Punjabi music scene, but what
Mm-hmm.
I do know about Canadian Punjabi music scene is they have created this East Side and West Side the way they had in United States at the time of Tupac, when they had like East
Yeah.
and West Side, and they used to fight. All that diss tracks used to happen, and
Yeah.
that's the trend they want to bring in Indian Punjabi music scene,
Yeah.
earning money of that,
Mm-hmm.
earning popularity of that, fame from that. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the Black Lives Matter, they are. I don't think so. Anyone said anything about it. Maybe like Karan Aujla or Sidhu Moosewala, for example, because he has been listening to Tupac songs from the class six.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what he said in one of his interview. Because
Yeah.
that's astonishing. Because
Yes. Yes. I didn't know the whole East and West. It kind of makes sense now. I know kind of what you're talking about. I think that's just sad then, like we're fighting with each other when we should be united. We're all going through the same struggles. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense in my head.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
if you see the Vancouver side, there are a lot of singers
Mm-hmm.
over there. If you see this
Mm-hmm.
Ontario side, the Brampton
Yeah.
side, there are a lot of singers who are based from here. So that's how they're
Mm-hmm.
distracting each other,
Yeah.
which goes back to the 90s when
Yeah.
it was Tupac and
Yeah.
his friends, where
Yeah.
they were in California region, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
used to distract the North Yorkers, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the singers over there. So yeah, that's how crooked, I would say,
Yeah.
thing is,
Mm.
because you are earning off money from that. So, so something I would really like to ask you, something, it might be very controversial or something. So Have you seen Char Sahibzade movie?
Yeah, I
Char
have.
Sahibzade. So if anyone does not know about it, would you like to tell the audience what Char Sahibzade movie was about in brief, so that I can explain to you my follow-up question?
I mean, I watched it when it came out, so it's been a while. But I do
Uh,
know the story.
Real story.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go for it? Because I don't want to like I said, it's been like what, 5? It's been a while. Like that
It's
movie
been a
came
while.
out.
So,
Yeah.
so in a crux, Guru Gobind Singh Ji had like 4 sons. So 2
Mhm.
of the sons who were aged 5 and aged 9, 9 or 11, I guess. So they were cemented, right?
Yeah.
Just because they were not able to accept
Yeah.
the oppression of the other. I would
Yeah.
not take the religion in it, because something different. Religion is different. It's the oppression he was not taking. They were not taking from the
Yeah.
other party, right?
Yes.
So that's how religious learnings, teachings, principles, they uphold that strength in you. That's what I learned. That's what I
Yeah.
think about it. That's how
Yeah.
all what I have read about a little bit of religion. That's I have this idea that if it gives me a power to fight
Yeah.
something which is very difficult. It's a very difficult fight. Fight
Yeah.
that thing. It's not
Yeah.
difficult. So if I compare it to you, you
Yeah.
can take inspiration from anywhere. So did
Yeah.
like your religious teachings, principles had like positive impact on you? Something?
Yeah. Yeah. I like you said, religion is something separate. I've had a complicated relationship with that just because it's very policed and stuff. But when it comes to our history, I think there's so much depth there.
So
There's
much
so
that.
much power and strength. Like whether we talk about Guru Nanak's teaching of inclusion, and that religious is like we can't use religion to divide, and it's all about one, or whether we talk about Char Sahibzade, or whether we talk about Guru Gobind Singh Ji, like they fought to preserve the uniqueness that we have as community, as people. They
Yeah.
stood up to the strong people in power.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was saying, that if you look at the systems in the world, the people are still trying to hold power. People are still trying to like suppress people, whether we talk about the Black community or whether we talk about the immigrant community. The people in the power, they're trying to maintain the status quo. So what we can learn from our history is to stand up to that we will give our heads but not give up ourselves, whatever that means. To not give up your authenticity is kind of what I learned from our gurus, because that's kind of what they fought for the whole time.
Yeah.
Or whether we talk about Guru Hargobind Singh Ji, he literally freed 52 kings. Like he didn't have to do that. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of love, and that's the kind of standing up for people that our history has, that we really need to reconnect with.
So yeah, it gives you power to stand up to something which a normal person without any teachings, without any principles, won't be able to fight for even 2
Yeah.
minutes, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of pressure saying you're different, you might have disease, you might have something which can be cured. But if you just have that, all the teachings in my mind, oh my, that you read
Yeah.
all those sacrifices that they have done for us. So that's what I say, like being a different in a unique community, being a different in a different community, what the people of your own community saying that you are wrong, or
Yeah.
something you might be cured. It is a Western idea. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how then
100%.
your positive religious teaching had the positive impact at that time?
I think in those times it was hard, definitely, because all these people I grew up with them, or my parents or my relatives, like these are people I now realize, like when strangers tell you something, it kind of bothers you a little bit, but it doesn't hit you the same way when people who love you, who people who are close to you, say stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I had this strong belief in my heart that what I'm seeing is true, what I feel is right. And I just couldn't see it the other way. Like I couldn't see being a woman and marrying and having kids. I couldn't imagine that. Like
Yeah.
that's just, it never, like, I didn't even sit and be like, okay, maybe I could do this. My head couldn't even go there. And I just knew that sometimes, people are wrong. Sometimes you have to just listen to what you're hearing. And that's kind of what our history teaches us. They were being told, like, give up your your pehrawa or give up your Sikhi. And the white ones didn't, because they knew that this is worth fighting for. This is worth dying for. And I
Yeah.
think our individuality is just as important.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own individuality, which they should preserve. They should take forward, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for you, are you satisfied? Do you think like it has been a worthwhile journey, a worthwhile fight against all the odds, family, friends, relatives?
Yeah.
Because it
I
has
think
been.
so. I think so. I mean, there's some sad parts, like I wish my family was on board. I wish I wasn't living alone. I didn't have to do everything myself, like even my surgery, I did it by myself, like
Wow.
money, going there. So it's been a little lonely, but I think the fruit of it is way more, worth of it. I think it's paid off. Like the
Definitely,
healing that has
it's
come,
paid
the
off.
kind of time I'm able to create for myself, the kind of relationship I'm building with myself, it's worth it, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you said, right? It's the relationship you build with yourself. It's supreme. It should be at the top. Then
Yep.
comes all
Yep.
the relationship you build with your parents, your friends, your
Yep.
relatives. Because if you're not happy with yourself, then you won't be able to make them happy. I
100%.
completely agreed. Yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought of writing a book about your journey, like the way you said, everything you have been handling yourself?
I have. Hopefully, one day, maybe. Hopefully, I think it would
Yeah.
really help. Also help me, put everything down on paper.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope.
maybe.
I hope the best for you in that department, and I'll be the first one to buy your book and read all about it. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
yeah, definitely. And I would really like. There were a lot of things which this is a topic where we can talk in detail, right? So if I'll see like if they want to listen more and more, we can make more and more episodes. But for now, like thank you, Armaan, for coming on the
Yeah.
podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Well,
Yeah.
I've been in my it's an early stage in my podcast journey. I hope like I do good, so that more and more
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the
No,
podcast?
100%. Yeah, these are very, very important. I'm honestly, thank you for sharing, like, even your journey from where you were and now your
Yeah,
developed understanding
yeah,
and your openness. This is
open.
important. This is important work. Thank you for opening up this conversation. And yes, let me know.
Yeah,
I'm happy to continue this
I have your
conversation.
yeah, definitely. I have your number. We are following each other on Instagram now, so definitely,
Yep.
if there's anything like comes up, or if anything you want to share something, definitely reach out to me, and so
Yeah.
that we can talk about it. We can make a podcast, something a lot of people can take advantage of.
Yeah.
But right now, thanks a lot, Armaan. I would say again, and I, it's best of luck. I cannot even say you best of luck because you have done all the journey yourself. You have reached the goal line. So it's something I would congratulate you on your.
I haven't a
So
long way to go yet.
yeah, it's a long way to go,
Yeah,
but like
but
I really like you mend your relationship with your parents, your relatives. I hope they understand.
yeah,
I definitely hope they will. So for
yeah.
now, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, Armaan. See you very
Thank you so much.
soon.
Yeah.
Definitely, if I come to California, I'll definitely meet you.
100%. Yeah. When I come to Ontario, maybe next year, whenever this is over.
Yeah, I'm just like 150 kilometers north
Oh, okay,
of
cool,
you.
cool.
It's very. Just do let me know whenever you are in
Yeah,
the Toronto region,
yeah,
or
100%.
if I am in the California or somewhere, like I'll definitely let you know. And
Yes.
thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. This has been really great. I really hope everyone. It's for the audience. I hope you guys enjoyed, and
Yeah.
I hope you guys learned something from it. This is something a conversation started, right? It's just a seed you might have had. Now you can research, you can go on online, you can follow him. His
Yeah.
Instagram ID will be in the description, and just ask him, learn from him, or that's how things will flow, and that's how our horizon will increase. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you. Do follow, do share, do subscribe.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, man.